excited to be back again. This is a lovely way to get ready to go into the rest of this week. And I'm really, really, really thrilled to be here with my friend and colleague, Donna Bivens. So I am looking forward to a really generative conversation with her and with all of you. And thank you, Jima, for inviting me back. This is really a wonderful opportunity to do some deep thinking about something that I think is so important to all of us. We want to begin. Donna, did you want to say something before we jump in?
No, go. No.
Nope. Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to take a moment for us to do is that I imagine that, some of us have been to one session, some of us have been to two sessions. And is there anybody here who hasn't been to any of the sessions or gatherings that Ujima has done on this topic? Is there anybody who's brand new to all of it?
Couple.
Couple people? Okay. And so this particular prompt is going to be for you. I'm going to read out what the prompt is. And those of you who are coming for the very first time, I want to say to you that the way that what I'm inviting you to think about is might be in the area of what brought you here tonight. But here is the first prompt. We invite you to consider whatever you have learned, been exposed to as it relates to the 6 weeks of workshop or planning related to Ujima's investigation of of like finances, wealth building, money. If you haven't been to any workshops, I really want you to think about that prompt within the context of what brought you here tonight. So, what comes up for you if you have attended or been part of some of these conversations? I just want you to jot down a few things that you remember that sort of sat on your head that you're carrying around with you. And if you're new, I want you to think about that same prompt, but I want you to think about it from the perspective. Your response should be related to how did you get here tonight? What brought you here to be in this conversation this evening? Is that fair, Donna?
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to ask, are they writing now for us, or this is just the beginning for themselves?
This is for you. This is for you. This is to
From,
grant.
this is for each person.
This is for each person who's in the room or on the Zoom to just take a moment to think about that and then jot down one thing that you remember that's impacted you that either brought you here, if this is your first time, or that came up in any of the other workshops that you were part of. It can even be a person who invited you or an idea. And can somebody give me 2 minutes as a timer? Yes. I know when that's up.
2 minutes starting.
Oh, sorry.
And it can be really simple. It's not just something that's like sitting on your head. Like this came up in it could be a book, it could be whatever it is. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Time's up. Thank you. Now, before I move to the second prompt, I'm going to ask Donna to do me a favor that was not on her agenda. Um, and this is for the benefit of the room before we move forward. Um, Donna, can you just reiterate for the group what this series has been about in your own words?
Okay. Is this my time
No,
to do
this
that?
is not your time. This is just a brief description before I ask the
Oh,
toolkit question.
okay. This has
So
been
what have
a
we been
journey.
talking about? What have we been talking about? What's this about?
Yeah. This has been a journey to get a collective and individual understanding of our relationship to money, to finance, to governance, to what does that mean to us? So those are big words. What does it mean to us, practically speaking? So that's what it's been about, from our personal experience to our larger historical and political experience.
Beautiful. Thank you, Donna. So that brings us to our second prompt. So we're building a world here for ourselves. And sometimes, I learned this from my mom, and I kind of hated it. When we really had to clean a room, especially the kitchen, we had to take everything out so we could get behind all the things. So sometimes you you need to start from scratch. It doesn't mean you're not going to put things back in the room that you already had there. But sometimes you need to take everything out to figure out, well, what is it that I want to keep? And so, Donna and I were talking about our curiosity about what that looks like. So, what I want to ask you to do now is to think about, based on the little bit that you know about what Donna just said, and she will repeat it if you need her to. I want you to think about this world that we're building around these relationships that we have with money, with wealth, with economics. And I want you to think for a moment, in this world that we're building together, what would you want to put in a toolkit? What idea would you want to put in a toolkit? Is there a song you would want to put in a toolkit? Is there a book you would put in a toolkit that would support our ability collectively to build the world that we want, that allows us to think about these big questions, these big words, um, like economics, like finance? Somebody said earlier in the check-in, trying to figure out, how am I going to pay for all the things that I have to get done, right? But this is a loftier question. Right now, we're just building a toolkit. What might we need in a toolkit that you personally would want to put in there? None of us, we all have something that we can put in that toolkit that would help us think through how we might build this world, that might contribute to our ability to build an interesting world around these questions. I'm going to ask Donna to repeat what she said again so that you can remember that in the context of what I've just asked you to do. And I want you to have fun with this question. It's not, you can't do this wrong. We're building a toolkit, and none of us know right now what anybody else is putting in the kit. So whatever you put in the kit is going to be helpful. So Donna, would you just repeat what you said?
Right, I'm not sure that I can, but I'll try.
Paraphrase.
So,
What have we been doing?
um, basically, it's a journey to understand collectively and individually what money, economics, finance and governance mean to us, and how we navigate those. How do you understand it? And any resource, any, like Vashti said, book, idea, concept that you think would be helpful, and write it so that you can give it to us, because we want to collect the wisdom in this room about what we need in our toolkit.
And Donna, do you think we need a little bit more than 2 minutes for this? Or do you think 2 minutes is good?
2 minutes should do it.
Yeah, and have some fun with it, please. Because building a toolkit should be a good time. And I just want to offer that what you put in the toolkit, you should be thinking about from the perspective of what has value to you. You shouldn't be thinking outside, well, what would they think is important? This is about what you think you would want to contribute to the toolkit that has value and importance for you. We're back. Was that enough time for everybody? Did anybody feel like I need more time. I need 5 more seconds. I need 10 more seconds. Are we good? Now for this part, Donna, are you ready?
I'm ready. As ready as I'm going to be.
So Donna has been part of the planning process, and she's also had the privilege and the opportunity to be in all of these sessions, right? So I've asked her, because I haven't, to just reflect with us on what this process has been like for her. And what I would like you all to do while Donna is sharing is jot down anything that resonates, that you're curious about, that moves you, or that affects you. It just affects you. But just jot it down. Don't try to remember it. Jot it down as it comes up. Okay, Donna.
Okay. So I should start by saying this has been one of my favorite processes in a long time. It's held together so well. First of all, it was planned really well. It was planned so that it was stayed focused, and yet it was very open. So we were on a journey together. And I want you to think about, as I'm talking about this 6 hours and 5 minutes, I want you to think about, where are you on that journey? Because we're all on the journey, even if we haven't been there, right? So the first 2 sessions were done by Iraq Arroyo. Is that Iraq Arroyo? And those 2 sessions were about our direct experience with money. Like, what does money mean to you? And it was really about the trauma that we often have, that we often carry from the way money is used in the society, from things that happen in our families. It can be really hard. I learned that a new trauma response. I'd always known fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, which is like, fawn is more like, just sort of sucking up to oppression, right? But I learned a new one, which was fog, which is sort of you're in the fog about money. You aren't really focusing it. And so it can attack you from any side if you aren't really focused on what it is. So, it was really helpful to me to learn what has been my negative response to money, so that I could see my positive response to money, and so that I could heal how am I in relationship to money. Then the next session, those were the first 2, the next session was done by Vashti. And Vashti asked the question to start of, what is enough? What does it mean to have enough? And then let us do a journey to understand that if you don't understand what wealth is to you, what has value to you, what has meaning to you, then you never know what's enough. You know, you don't have something any boundaries to tell you, okay, you got enough of this, move on and get something else, right? So really being clear about what is wealth to you. The next session was done by Jessica Norwood. And I love that session too. And they were really starting to pull together. They were really starting to make sense together, because Jessica Norwood started with a story of her mother on her deathbed saying to her, I want you to know that love is the only thing that matters. Love is the only thing that matters. And she took that as a lesson to figure out what was her work, what was her life work, what was important for her to do in her life. And it ended up being around money, because her mom was an entrepreneur who very much saw herself as doing that work for her community. And again, it went back to what is wealth. Wealth was taking care of her customers and taking care of her daughter, and love. It was love. So then last week it sort of shifted, because we went to myth building, and that was a wonderful session, very thought provoking. And I left a little like this, because it was really talking about the stories we're told about what money is and what's happening with it versus the reality that we're living. And so, what I left that with is that we live in a society where literally the love of money is the primary love. You know, if you look at our history, Black people were money. You know, in my own family, people were sold away from their family because their family needed money, right? So we were literally money. So looking at this system and how it reproduces that that money becomes a driving thing, that money and economics, and we don't, and it takes us away from our connection with each other. It takes us away from what we really love, instead of bringing it to what we really love. And I think where we're going now is going deeper into that, and also trying to think about, what does the legacy of that mean for you? So what I would say is that we've all probably been on that journey our whole lives in some way, but it's bringing it to consciousness. So how is this all coming together for you? It's really coming together for me at this age. There's also, I want to say also one thing, that there's a intergenerational piece, because the first four did not include students, the high school students. And that really changes the whole tenor of everything, because you're bringing a whole fresh new place in this. So that's our journey. It's sort of like a river, and you can get in at any point. We're just on this movement together about what is of value to us. What do we care about?
Thank you, Donna. That was fantastic. Thank you. So what I'm hoping, and I will open this up for a second to Ujima staff and and cohort members, right? If there's anything that you want to add, having been part of this process, that you just feel like, I just want to add this one thing. And if there isn't, then I'm going to go to the next prompt. Okay. So what I want to ask now, I'm hoping that everybody did the assignment and that you listened to Donna and you jotted down things that you were curious about, that resonated with you, or that in some way affected you. And if we could have like 3 volunteers or 4 to share with us what those things were that you heard, that impacted you, affected you, or that you're curious about, or that you might even want to add to. We would love to hear we'd love to hear you share those back out into the group. If you're online, put them in the chat and we'll read them out. So something you jotted down.
Someone raises.
Okay.
Yes.
Something that kind of resonated with me or kind of stuck with me when you said like how society now money has like society values have kind of changed and now money and kind of like begins to replace the connection and that value of love is not as uh, strong as it is compared to money nowadays.
Thank you. Thank you. Someone else? And could everybody hear?
Can you
Okay.
hear? Yep, go ahead.
I actually wrote down a lot of things. I actually also made a little drawing of when you said we were kind of being talked about what really money is. So I made a little drawing of just a stick figure having like kind of type of fog and money being around. But I also wrote down you'll never know what's enough if you don't know what's wealth to you, boundaries to say what's enough. Reality of what money is, what is wealth. Love is the only thing that matters. Money takes away from what we really love, rather than closer. Society's values has changed in the current day, and it's really driving us to say it's common.
Wow. Wow.
Please.
Thank you.
What you had said with Donna about Black people being like a little currency, some of that like that would be with the conversation I actually had earlier, and like with a friend of mine, and us talking about like us as a people don't remember who we are, like you know what I'm saying, or not necessarily remembering where we come from, and it's because of like that, like slave trade, us selling to each other, you're losing like your own roots, but then it's like over time, like the one thing that we can never lose is like our melanation, our melanin, right? But then just figuring out like who are we as a people, like kind of find like those roots, and then like even talking like my whole family history of like escaping slavery, but then it's like we had like a family reunion and like the melanin changed from like that line where it's like when we had that family reunion, they was in Nova Scotia, but when they came down here, they didn't look like the rest of us. Like we're all still black melanated, but now they're more fair skinned, pale, white, so it's like how it all shifted at the same time where it's like talking to them, they don't necessarily know where our family roots come from. So it's like that's like the thing that really sat with me, like the currency of it all is like how like because of us being the currency, we forgot where we are, who we are, and where we come from.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
No.
I have something similar to say, like to what a song says. So when you were saying, like how we kind of were money, like even though they were using money to buy us, they were still making millions off of us. Like so what I wrote, I said we were sold for pennies, sometimes more, sometimes less. Sold for labor, child labor. Still to this day, you can't even make those things either. When it comes to having an actual citizen job, we actually come from a rich country in Africa, and we can't get treated like we don't amount to.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I forgot to ask you to do this. Was there someone else in the room or online?
Yeah, we have one more person.
We have one
Okay.
more.
Mm-hmm.
I chose seeing the negative so you can see the positive. There's a lot of correct movies and money, and that forced us to just see it in a bad way. But you could uncover it and see that easily.
That's so true. So important.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, this is the hard part because I forgot to tell you to do this. Please, if you would, now take a minute to jot down what came up from the responses to Donna that you now remember. So 4 or 5 different people shared their reactions, responses, curiosity. I want you to think about what came to the top. What do you remember? What's sticking to you, or what are you curious about? Please take a minute and just jot that down. And if you don't remember and people need to repeat it, let me know. But it should be the thing that you can't forget. So it might be the last thing you heard, it might be the thing that you got stuck on, like that thing that you were really thinking about. But you just listen to their feedback in responding to Donna. So jot that down. And the next time I'll remember to tell you to listen and take notes. Donna, did you have anything?
No, no, no.
So we're going to give you a minute for that, and then we're coming back.
5 minutes left, Vashti.
Right, you got 1 minute, and we're coming back. 5 minutes. Should we go right? Okay. So because we have 5 minutes left, right, Donna? We're going to go back to the beginning. Everybody online, if you would, and then everybody in the room, it goes to Donna, right? What I would like you to do right now is share what you put in the toolkit. And because we don't have a lot of time, if you're in the room, you're gonna give your cards to Donna. If you're online, you're gonna put it in the chat so it can be captured. But we would like to hear, right, Donna, from a couple of people about what they put in the toolkit.
Right, definitely. And I just want to say that you've already started putting things in our toolkit. Like last week, Janelle told me about a book that I'd seen it, but I never read it, called We Refuse, and I love this book. It's so powerful. So, I think that's the importance of the intergenerational piece. We have all generations here, from high school to 70s. So, it's really important to capture that, to learn from each other, to learn with each other. So I hope you all keep coming. I know the next one's here, but I hope you stay for the whole year, because what you're bringing is a whole nother perspective that we don't have as older people.
Right. You're building this world. We won't be here likely much longer to see it. You're building it. We're going to leave behind some artifacts, but this is your world. And in this exchange, you were building. Every question was a build. But now, before we go, I would just like to hear, because you didn't know what was coming, what did you put in the toolkit?
It's a person. Go.
Okay.
I said online that the support needed would require guidance and more access to people to look up to and supervisors in the community to teach us different ways to save our money. The jobs and opportunities we would have but don't know because our mindset is not expanded to those ideas of finance yet. So yeah, pretty much what I got from like what I was hearing and stuff and think the board more and that.
Thank you.
Janelle?
I said in my toolkit, I would put like for everyone to have reasonable job wages to be paid a higher dollar amount or more hours for you, more hours for you. But I think for you, you can't work a certain amount of hours, like you're restricted from working as much as you want to. But like Erica was saying, if we really want to pay for what we need, we do need more. We need more. And I also said the needs to have better acknowledgement on why we need more programs that include career research and job readiness skills to be able to ease into adult lifestyle, like paying bills, additional schooling, like university, Just because a lot of students, including myself, we need the aid to get taken care of to move health.
Right?
Oh, okay. I started off my check-in talk about the million careers I've had. One thing I didn't say is that for most of my 20s, I was a professional musician. So a song that I'm adding to
Yes.
the toolkit is a gospel song, but really could be interpreted just about love for community, and it's called "I Need You to Survive."
Oh, I love that song.
I do. Thank you.
Yes.
That's it. All right.
One thing I definitely put on there was like the book, but the book specifically was about the most important information about every ethnic group that in which they also originate. Which ties back into me also talking about where no matter where you come from, you just don't forget where you are from. No matter how much like, you know, we integrate with each other, like just to remember like our own history. I feel like that'd be very important because like I think a lot of history is starting to or already has been erased. And I think it's very important for us to like remember that, like no matter how far down the line we are, but we do remember that, but also respect like the land in which we are on
Okay.
because a lot of us are, you know, native to like that land. So like knowing like the people that have stood in these lands before us, and also continuing that forward as well too.
Right.
Thank you. Okay, we got one more, Vashti.
Okay,
We
it's
have
kind of
one more.
hard to hear people clearly, so speak as clearly as you can so we can hear you. Did you say we have one more? We got time for one more?
Yeah, one more.
I just want to say I'm putting a song in too, Danielle Ponder, Darker Than Blue. Look it up.
Thank you.
Okay, one more. What else we got? I don't count as one more.
I added, kind of speaking, actually, incidentally, because I was just saying, I put land back. As an indigenous person, that's super important to me. Like, there's more to, like, don't take it literally somehow, like, there's deeper meaning to that. Free public transportation, I mean, like, freedom of movement, essentially. No funding for prisons and incarceration. And I just kind of put, like, what is sacred, which is funny because I started talking about, like, what you, like, would see as like well for value. That's understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What?
I had said, at first I was confused by the question and slash statement, like, I was a little confused if you meant more personally or about the whole world we live in overall, but I realized hearing other people's thoughts that it was overall. I originally did say though, I ironically would put a, full playlist of just Frank Ocean songs. Ever made, and I would also like to have other people I've confided in or other people surround me in my community I think in whatever they kind of needed. But also I would say a Bible, and I had said it's like kind of grand or something that would just offer us a life where it's not high maintenance and we can literally just throughout each other to survive, because nowadays everybody has to have 2 jobs, has to have the greatest education or work the hardest. Like, it shouldn't be too much for one person, and that's not what this world was made for. This economy and that sucks. And I think that we can do a lot better about that. But yeah, just more freedom, and I also said more loving here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all. I'm sorry we're running up against time. Now that you know what we're building, go look at anybody's toolkit and you notice there'll be some things in there you don't recognize, right? But you never know what tool you're going to need until the time comes. And so I hope you'll think about this. I hope Ujima will think about this going forward, as you continue to sort of unpack this really, really important story. Like what are the new tools we can bring in this world building moment that we must be in, because we can't keep doing the same stuff and expecting different results. Thank you so much for being here and for having this really important conversation.